Hello, once again, welcome and welcome back. My name is Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. It is Sunday, March 8th, 2020, and apparently the only thing happening this week is coronavirus, and I will talk about that a little bit. It's also spring forward, right? It's spring now, so maybe the weather will heat up and the humidity will just kill off all these germs. But before we get to the coronavirus, a very peculiar story out of the UK surrounding a 23-year-old a female woman, identifying as a woman, I suppose, is suing the NHS, which I guess is like the UK health department or something like that. She's suing them for letting her transition too early. Okay, saying that she should have been challenged more. Now, where were the parents? Okay? And where's Dwayne Wade? Because you can see this coming a mile away, but in your quest to become fully righteous and fully virtuous, you let your children do weird things to their body that they're most likely gonna regret because that stuff is just not real. No matter how bad I want to be Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors, it's not going to happen. All right, so this is a complete and total mess. The woman's got a beard and boobs, and the whole thing is absolutely insane. But that's what's going on in the left. And the UK left, I think, is even crazier than the United States left. So imagine that. All right. We also got another bill or a law banning transgender athletes to compete in Arizona, which makes perfect sense. I can't even believe that we had to come up with a law for this. I mean, seems like common sense, right? I mean, high school boys compete against high school boys and girls against girls. I mean, it's very obvious. How often do you see young women jumping into the men's basketball realm and slam dunking on people? It just doesn't happen. So let's keep it separate. It's okay. Reality is not racist. Reality is not sexist. It just is, and you got to play the cards you're dealt. All right? Also, Super Tuesday was this week. Of course, I made a very short video about it. Please check it out, right? And Liz Warren has finally dropped out of the race. So she did exactly what she was supposed to do by siphoning votes away from Bernie on Super Tuesday. And now she's making the round. She's going on Ricky Maddow talking about how big, bad Bernie supporters have been bullying people, which you could say for the entire left. I mean, the entire left will just call anybody slightly to the right who doesn't believe in this transgender nonsense. I mean, Liz Warren, for the record, said that she was going to pawn off one of her presidential duties. Of course, she's never going to be president, so it doesn't matter. But she said, I'm going to get a young trans person to pick the education secretary or something like that. And the levels of stupidity in that one statement was just astounding. But now she's saying that the Bernie bros basically are just so mean. So she's setting it up to where she can endorse Joe Biden like a good establishment Indian that she is, rather than endorsing Bernie Sanders, who used to be her friend, and she was running in that hard left, socialist, free everything lane. But really, she was just an establishment candidate wearing a Bernie mask. All right? She also, for the record, wanted to sell down, her and Rachel Maddow wanted to talk about sexism was responsible for the demise of Kamala, Kirsten Gillibrand, Amy Klobuchar, but no mention of Tulsi Gabbard, because she's a Russian agent, all right? And Elizabeth Warren also wrote a book called The Two-Income Trap before she became a real hardcore feminist. The Two-Income Trap. Duck, duck, go, that one, all right? We've also got New York now jumping on this plastic bag ban bandwagon, where they're not going to let you have a plastic bag, and the paper bags are going to cost you money. And, I'm kind of used to this. It happened a long time ago in California, so no big deal. It's just very strange how they really do think they're saving the world with this. Like, whatever. The trains are collapsing, needles everywhere, homeless people, rents through the roof, but it's those bags. We got to stop those bags, guys. The straws, too, they're showing up in the turtle's nose. We got to stop that stuff. Forget about education. Forget about the cost of housing. Forget about pharmaceuticals. Forget all that and stop the bags right now. It doesn't make any sense, but this is what the left does. They just have to virtue signal. They have to make you think that they're doing something because all they're really doing is lining their pockets with our tax dollars. But this way they can say, see, this is going to save the world from global heating, guys. Get rid of the bags. Meanwhile, there's millions of them already stuck in trees all over New York. Also, Chris Matthews has retired. He got, the woke scolds, the hard left, the cancel culture mob got him. He badmouthed Bernie, which good on Chris Matthews for badmouthing Bernie because Bernie is awful. But on top of that, he also got Me Too'd. He said something along the lines of, wow, I can't believe I haven't fallen in love with you yet, to some lady who was on his news program a couple years ago, and she just could not handle that, perhaps awkward compliment, but this man has to go. Forget the 20 years he spent making fake news with you guys. He's got to go because he badmouthed Bernie and he gave a young woman a compliment. Get him out of here. Now, I think he should have been fired a long time ago, but not for these reasons. So, moving on. It looks like Hillary Clinton might actually have to testify under oath. Uh-oh. She's going to weasel her way out of this. Somehow, some way, she just won't go down. Rules are for peons. Hillary, we know that. Everybody is privy to the fact that Hillary Clinton will never face any consequences, no matter how many people she murders. All right? And her Hulu documentary debuted this week as well. So, did she perhaps see this coming? I mean, I don't want to get too conspiratorial about it, but could she see this coming a mile away and hopped on the Hollywood bandwagon to put out basically a puff piece of what makes her look good? And Bill Clinton's on there talking about how his cheating scandal helped him with his anxiety. So it's like, ooh, victim card. Imagine that. Bill Clinton playing the victim card. I had anxiety, so I cheated on my wife, and that helped it. Well, yeah, Bill, you probably did have anxiety because you were married to Hillary Clinton. And Lord knows that relationship was probably never real. She's just a snake, lying, conniving little woman trying to climb the political ladder. She crapped out Chelsea, and then you guys continue to just go on your murder spree and all sorts of crooked, corrupt things. And she, Hillary that is, still obviously believes that it was her turn, and Donald Trump must fry. Contingency plans and Lisa Page and Peter Strzok and all this stuff. You people are awful. And blaming your cheating scandal on anxiety is absolutely hilarious. People with hard anxiety should be offended by that. All right? Then we've got little Chuckles Schumer, who lashed out at Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch at some sort of weird abortion rally, okay? These people are so strange. They're so strange. It's like you're clamoring for abortion just because you can't be responsible, which you're gonna wear a diaper too? It doesn't make sense, right? Like, you're an adult. You're old enough to be having sex, but you're not old enough to realize that might come with consequences. So you want the government to pay for your abortion when you can't get it together, and then you use the tiniest little sliver of incidents to justify all abortions. It's like, okay, if assault, we'll call it, and incest, which are one and the same, you let me know next time you see somebody consensually having sex with their brother or sister. So it's one and the same, right? But they use that little wedge to say, this should be legal for everybody. I'm like, okay, fine. If I give you that, if I say every time somebody is assaulted by a family member, they should have a clear right to an abortion, if you say that every time somebody who didn't face that gets an abortion has to stop, but they won't do it because they have no principles. They just want it their way. Oh, my body, my choice. Yeah, I guess so. But it takes two to tango, and if you're old enough to do the deed, you should be old enough to realize that there are consequences. Or maybe go get the plan B. There's a long list of things you can do before you murder the baby inside you. Just saying, a long list. All right? And Chuck Schumer, sorry I got off on an abortion tangent, but Chuck Schumer is screaming at these not screaming literally at them, but in front of a crowd, yo, you Gorsuch, oh, you Kavanaugh, if you don't vote the way I want you to vote, you're going to face the wrath. Now, Chuck Schumer is known to do this. Remember, he jumped out and started talking about the intelligence agencies coming after Donald Trump if he doesn't obey. So we know that this is all a thing that Chuck Schumer does, but what makes it worse is that I don't actually believe Chuck Schumer meant any of that. They don't mean anything they actually say. He's just caught up in the moment trying to whip up a crowd of zombie leftists into a frenzy. He doesn't mean any of that. He's just like, ooh, they like me. If I would talk about abortion, they clap, and then I'll point my finger at Kavanaugh, they clap, So he's just in the moment, like, yeah, look at me, all these weird old ladies and pink pussy hats love me, like, abortions for everybody, yeah. So he's caught up in the moment. He doesn't mean any of it, and we know it. He doesn't get anything done. And on the other side of that abortion coin, we do have this death penalty case, Nathaniel Woods out in Alabama, and I don't have too much to say about it. I don't know so much about the story, but I will say I don't much care for abortion, and I don't much care for the death penalty either, because A, you need to be responsible rather than kill the baby inside of you, and B, the death penalty never brings anybody back. It only kills more people. So you're like, all right, we're going to put you to death for something we think you may or may not have done, and if you do die by the arm of the state, nobody's coming back. So I don't know, we can get into splitting hairs about the cost of the death penalty and the cost of leaving people in prison for the entirety of their lives and all sorts of things, but the bottom line is, I don't think that the government should be killing people, and I don't think mothers should be killing their babies. Very simple stuff. Stick with me, right? Then we've got MSNBC, another notch on their awfulness belt. This thing went super viral. They jumped out the window miscalculating Mike Bloomberg's wealth. Now, I would probably miscalculate Mike Bloomberg's wealth as well because, these are numbers that I just can't comprehend yet. But their math was so bad that, even Bernie could understand it, okay? So they said that Mike Bloomberg could give every American $1 million and still have money left over, which is absolutely, completely wrong. So go figure, Brian Williams, longtime liar, and Mara Gay, editor at the New York Times. So we all know how awful these people are. How can we trust them to report anything? And I think I even mentioned in one of my last videos that, well, if we're just talking about numbers, you can't really make it up. But here we are. These people have no idea what they're talking about. So you can write this off as like, oh my God, we made a mistake, but we've never made any other mistakes. All that other stuff was 100% correct. And on top of that, they pulled this from a tweet. Okay? So this is the problem. You've got people on the mainstream media pulling Twitter users, blue check, hard left, delusional Twitter users that represent probably a fraction of a percentage of the actual population, tweeting out stupid things and then putting it on TV and being like, oh, look, we found this tweet and we can smear somebody with it, not realizing it's all fake. And MSNBC, you guys have got a lot of explaining to do because you had a whole team of people that I'm sure are getting paid, upwards of $1 million a year. This whole team, this whole staff, Brian Williams, Mara Gay, the production crew, everything. He even said, oh, let's put the tweet on air. Let's put the tweet up on the screen, and some production junkie, some production zombie put it up there, and nobody thought, this doesn't add up. You guys are absolute morons, okay? And then last but certainly not least, the coronavirus is actually hitting home. I've been following this for a very long time, wondering, should I panic? Am I going to die? Do I need to stay in a bubble? Do I go to work? Do I get on the bus? Do I hoard Purell? I don't know what to make of it. But for the first time, I'm actually seeing it, play out in the streets. So if I'm out at the supermarket doing my regular grocery shopping and I'm seeing exponentially more people than I'm used to seeing there, it's clear now that people are starting to panic, which probably means it's on its way out, right? It's like when your parents get on Instagram, all right, well, this is probably the beginning of the end here. So it's like, all right, it's getting to everybody. So not just the people who are constantly reading the news, sort of like myself, but now it's getting to everybody, which probably, hopefully, maybe means it might be on the down, on the decline. Maybe we're getting a hold on it, but the Democrats will certainly ride it until the wheels fall off either way. Every time somebody dies, they're like, yes, this happened under Trump's watch. Let's get him, boys. So it's a complete and total mess. And obviously, there's a million and one theories as to how this happened. But I'm sticking with the theory that the Chinese government was trying to get those Hong Kong protesters under wraps, and it got a little bit out of hand. And now they're like, well, we didn't really want it to go this bad, but we can sort of get full control back on our economy, on our population, and the rest of the world will realize how much they need us when our products aren't being exported properly. So I guess that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Please check back every Wednesday night, every Sunday night, and have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening.